want to do the obligatory, you're mad, I'm back, stay mad joke, but at the end of the day, I hate 6ix9ine and you're not mad that I'm back. 3 of you reached out to me and were like, hey, don't forget about us. And I was like, hey, I'm not. I just don't have the ability to work on one video at once, so I end up working on a lot of videos and then nothing happens. But eventually one gets through, and that's where we are today. Also, we have a new background. Fun, exciting. We have some of my antiques here, which is good times. This is from Etsy. This is from the homophobic craft store. We all know the one. As you can probably tell by the highway outside, I am not using a microphone today. I refuse. That bitch hates me. I will literally set up the perfect audio. I will practice. I will listen to it back and I'll be like, oh, beautiful, crisp audio to go with my beautiful, crisp video. But then when I import the audio, it sounds horrible. So I have come to the conclusion that me and my microphone have a bad relationship and I'm gonna have to fix that somehow. I don't know how. Well, this little check-in has been fun, but I think I would rather talk about urban legends now. So we're gonna do that. Contemporary legends, also known as urban legends, are a genre of folklore that have been around for a very long time. How long? Just a very long time. I couldn't find any conclusive amount of time, but I'm gonna say sometime since BCE or BC if you're religious. But if it bothers you that much that I say BCE rather than BC, this probably isn't the channel for you. They were first known as urban belief tales, with the defining characteristic being the use of the device FOAF, or friend of a friend. This is used to authenticate the story, which will inevitably keep its longevity. So many big words in that sentence. It'll make it easier for people to spread to one another, which is how they work. There are several different genres of urban legends. One you might recognize are medical legends, like if you swallow gum, it'll stay in your stomach for 7 years, or if you eat Pop Rocks and then drink soda, you'll explode. But the most common, most interesting, and most widely spread are those that are mysterious, creepy, or scary. These often intersect with another kind of folklore known as the morality tale. Popular urban legends include the vanishing hitchhiker, the hook man, and lick hand. I apologize if I just gave anybody war flashbacks with any of those, but let's be real, if you got a war flashback, it was from lick hand. Due to the fact that they're spread by word of mouth, urban legends frequently change in their retelling. Think of it as a giant game of telephone. For example, the story of the hook man. I originally heard it as a couple is making out in a car, a mentally ill killer escapes from the asylum with a hook as a hand. They hear a noise outside like scratching and the boyfriend goes to check it out, but never comes back. The girl, terrified, locks the doors and waits in the car. After a little while, she hears scratching on top of the car, but is too scared to go out. The next morning, the girl is woken up in the car by the police, who tell her to exit and not look up. But of course she does, and finds her boyfriend brutally murdered and suspended upside down from a tree with a stick in his hand, which he was using to create the scratching sound, to try to get her attention. Now some of you are gonna be like, hey, that's not the hook man story. And you're kind of right. The original story involves a couple canoodling in a car in the woods, listening to music on the radio, only to hear breaking news: a psycho killer with a hook for a hand has escaped from the local asylum. They hear a weird noise outside the car and decide to leave. When they get home, they open the door and find there's a hook hand thing, I guess, stuck in the side of the car door. They escaped, but only narrowly. The hook man urban legend dates back to the 1950s and is a great example of morality tales and urban legends intersecting. The moral being, don't do sexy sin in the forest or you will be murdered or almost murdered. I think it's also worth mentioning that there are urban legends that are area specific. Think the Jersey Devil or Cropsey. Another thing I would like to note is that even area specific myths are generally similar, which relates to something I really enjoy studying, comparative folklore. To keep things so simple and to keep from going on too long of a tangent, comparative folklore is comparing folkloric stories from all over the world. You'll find that cultures and civilizations that had no way of meeting and lived on opposite sides of the planet thousands of years ago, their paths never crossed, will have very similar stories and folklore, which could have like very interesting physiological implications. Like the fact that we can break something like the hero's journey down into, I think, 12 stages and find it in most cultures or religions paralleling each other despite the fact, again, they had no way of meeting and their paths never crossed, is extremely fascinating. To relate this back to urban legends, area-specific legends are typically similar to one another, having running themes of boogeymen, white ladies, or haunted bridges. The point is, urban legends change as they spread, which is one of the coolest things to me about urban legends. No matter where you lived, whether it was California or New York, you heard the same stories, give or take a few details. But all of that changed with the introduction of the internet. Now you can share a creepy story in one place and it can be seen by people all over the world. Copypasta and chain emails were one of the first kinds of internet urban legends. Perhaps you remember Sexy Truck or Pass the Virtual Blunt, but a lot of you out there just had heart palpitations because you remember chain emails like Teddy. Just to prove that we should be studying internet urban legends the same way we study any other kind of folklore, creepy chain emails follow their own basic story arc. Tell the story of a gruesome death, usually a child, and now said child is out for revenge. Then say, if you don't send this to X amount of people, said child will then come and murder you. I would actually love to make a whole separate video about creepy chain emails, so I'm not going to go into too much of it. But to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, I am now going to read out to you the Teddy chain email because it is somewhat short. Hi, I'm Teddy. I am 7 years old. I have no eyes and blood all over my face. I am dead. If you don't send this to at least 12 people, I will come to your house at midnight and I'll hide under your bed. When you are asleep, I'll kill you. Don't believe me? Case 1. Patty Buckles got this chain email. She didn't believe in chain letters. Well, foolish Patty. She was sleeping when her TV started flickering on and off. Now she's not with us anymore. Haha, Patty. Haha. You don't want to be like Patty, do you? And then it lists 3 other cases that I'll just put on screen here and you can pause and read if you would like to.
Share the link with at least 12 people or you'll face the consequences. 0 people, you will die tonight. 1 to 6 people, you will be injured. 7 to 11 people, you will get the biggest fright of your life. 12 and over, you are safe and will have a good future. Do what Teddy says. Hurry, you must share the link before midnight.
While chain emails were the most widespread for obvious reasons, I do fully acknowledge creepy stories using the FOAF device were posted to Unsent and later in forums, chat rooms, and other message board type things. Scary chain emails were before my time, being more popular in the 90s and early 2000s when email became more widely available. However, I do remember the Teddy chain email because chain emails came back around and I would say like 2008-ish times. I had an older family friend that received the Teddy chain email and didn't sleep for days because she didn't have enough people to send it to and was scared that the moment she went to sleep, Teddy would come murder her. Urban legends are disseminated more widely and are more widely believed than ever before, especially in the early days. Some of my younger viewers, and by younger viewers, I mean people my age. My youngest viewers are people my age. Most of you are older than me, so that's cool. But you guys will remember the popular phrase, not everything you read on the internet is true, which of course has been memed to death now. But it was so popular because the internet started as a place of information sharing. It was originally invented in the 60s as a way for government researchers to share information between branches and across states. And even as it became more widely used, it stayed a place to share information. I think a lot of my older viewers may remember message boards where you could find things like video game hacks, how to pick a lock, shit like that. Until probably about the last 10-ish years, the first time you were introduced to the internet was probably at school as a way to get information. So when you stumbled across your first spooky story on the internet, you absolutely believed it was real. Why would the internet, the place of information sharing, lie to you? From chat rooms to chain emails, internet urban legends eventually started popping up on places like MySpace and Facebook. And then came a great shift in the culture with creepypastas. Now, some of you are already upset because you consider chain emails creepypasta coming from the name copypasta. So I want to say now, it's not that I fully agree with you or don't agree with you, it just doesn't matter in the context of this video. And the timeline wasn't gonna be perfect because A, creepypasta needed its own moment in this video. It is a huge change for urban legends and very important. And B, pinning down the history of creepypasta is extremely difficult. From what I found, the origins possibly began on, and this is a huge moment because this is the first time I'm mentioning this hellscape on my channel, 4chan. And if we want to pin down creepypasta to a year and the original story, it seems the closest we can come is 2001 with the story Ted the Caver. If it isn't the original creepypasta, it's close. The original creepypastas, I would say, are most like urban legends, as Darcy Nadell pointed out in her article. Older creepypastas, the original ones, had to have some realism and believability to the story, or else people wouldn't spread it around. In order to do this, some creepypastas would be based around existing urban legends like Polybius or Polybius, I don't know, and the Bunny Man. So not only was there the birth of new urban legends, but the tradition continued with people changing and using existing urban legends. On top of the whole, it's on the internet, it must be true way of thinking, Nadell also states, in the days before there were dedicated creepypasta websites, a lot of stories were more believable simply because there was no origin to trace it back to in order to prove it was fictional. Say it with me, viewers, FOAF. FOAF is not only used to make the story more believable, but is also used to make the story less traceable. Your friend heard it from a friend you guys don't have in common or lives in fucking Kansas, so there's no way for you to fact check. So sharing a story you read on the internet that was posted anonymously as a first-hand account is basically just a more complicated version of FOAF. Eventually, creepypasta got its own dedicated site in 2008, which changed the believability aspect, but they were all now accessible in one place rather than spread out across the internet. Now, not every creepypasta is an urban legend. This is for many reasons and is mostly opinion-based. For instance, I don't consider Jeff the Killer an urban legend. I actually think it's one of the worst written creepypastas. Sue me. But a lot of the better written ones definitely are and deserve some urban legend level respect. You all knew this one was gonna come up, Slender Man. I'm not gonna go into the origins of Slender Man. If you want to know everything about Slender Man, there's a large catalog of videos that can tell you anything you ever wanted to know. It's just not this video. But I'd say Slender Man is just as widespread as any urban legend and evokes the same feelings as the classics. So creepypasta took urban legends to a whole new level. And then Slender Man took things to a whole nother level with photos accompanying the legend. Another creepypasta that I think has perfect urban legend vibes is the Russian sleep experiment. And it was kind of a game changer for urban legends because it didn't have to rely on the FOAF device. It wasn't weird to especially children who had little knowledge of the world that the Russians would do some fucked up experiments like this. But more importantly, and more interestingly, it was accompanied by a video. Trigger warning, I'm going to play said video now. Which was a huge game changer for urban legends in general. I don't have to convince you I saw this happen firsthand or my cousin in Wisconsin saw it, because here's the proof. Now, I don't know where this video came from. I tried to track down the origins and I really couldn't find anything. Really, before the video, it was just a picture, and the picture is terrifying enough. And there is a really good chance you saw the picture and the creepypasta without seeing the video. And the video came later, but I remember seeing the video as I heard the creepypasta, and that was enough to convince me. And that's where things begin to change again. We are not only disseminating these stories onto the internet and thus a wider scale than ever before, we not only have photos, things like Slender Man and the Russian sleep experiment, we now also have videos. Which brings me to Ben Drowned. It's a little complicated to explain or to get into here, and frankly, it wasn't my childhood and I didn't interact with it very much, so I don't feel like I could do it justice, especially in such a short amount of time. But to put it ever so simply, it is a haunted video game story. Again, that was so simple, and I realized that. Please don't get mad at me. Along with some 4chan posts, the creator Alex posted screen recordings of the spooky activity happening within the game on his YouTube channel. This wasn't just Slender Man photoshopped in the background of a picture, this was brand new territory. Scary shit was happening in this game, and there was a screen recording to prove it. And that was before the ARG even started. Which brings me to my last point. We can't even fully track the way the internet spreads urban legends anymore. It's too big and it's too wide, and after Creepypasta hit its peak in 2010, things only got bigger. And now we have fake news, and the spread of misinformation is bigger than ever before and really frowned upon. For good reason. It's kind of like conspiracy theories. They're just not as fun as they used to be because now we gotta be like all serious and shit. Again, for good reason, but I still miss when conspiracy theories were a little more innocent than they are now. But there was this moment in 2021, this lightning in a bottle situation, possibly the last trackable spread of an urban legend, and that was feral people in national parks. In February of 2021, on the hellscape that is Tumblr, but it's just videos, also known as TikTok, the story of feral people in national parks began to spread. Of course, other spooky stories have spread on TikTok, but I had never witnessed it to quite this scale, and I saw it firsthand. Because almost immediately, our friend FOAF began to play a huge role. Very quickly, I started to see TikToks like, my cousin lives here and has seen this. My brother-in-law went camping at this national park and heard this. Everybody suddenly had a secondhand story, and everybody was convinced that they were the factual storyteller. You could trust them because they had heard from a friend of a friend what was actually going on. It spread so quickly and changed ever so slightly with every video that came up on my For You page in a way that can only make it a contemporary legend. Feral people in national parks had such a chokehold on everyone, it was kind of insane. I wish I had a better, bigger conclusion for the end of this video, but I just don't. That's where things end, with the just dumpster fire that's TikTok.
You know what, I do have a better conclusion. In conclusion, urban legends changed because they were now being spread, not from one person to another person, but from one person to thousands. Later, pictures and videos were used as evidence, making the FOAF device almost unneeded. While the initial boom of internet urban legends was fascinating and exciting, this could have the potential to end the tradition of urban legends altogether. I'm also willing to admit, on the other hand, that perhaps the definition of urban legends just needs to grow and evolve with our growing and evolving world.
I think it will definitely be interesting to see where contemporary legends go from here, because there is like a part of me that's kind of worried due to the internet, they're just gonna kind of die out. I don't feel like everyone wants to continue to study folklore in the modern times or in the age of the internet, which is disappointing. So that's kind of why I made this video, just as an analysis of where we've ended up. Is it as deep as like a scholar? Probably not. Maybe I'll make another video in the future if I find out more things or dig a little deeper, but this is just where we're at right now. Understanding folklore is really important to understanding where we are now, and it doesn't change when it comes to things like urban legends. I did it. I made another video. I'm sorry I was gone for a while again. I developed somewhat of a social life, kind of suddenly, and I would say that it's bad, except for that I am noticeably more happy, so I'm just gonna keep doing that. I saw your concerned comment. I'm not disappearing. I'm not abandoning the channel. I haven't forgot about all 137 of you. You mean the world to me, truly. If you want updates on videos, to vote on video type things, you can follow me on Instagram at CleverHaunts. It is private, but everybody gets accepted. I'm so happy to be back. I'm CleverHaunts, and I guess that's it.